What's going on, guys? How y'all doing? This was a long overdue stream. So I was planning on doing a Trektorial with Angry Canadian a few months ago, but things transpired and he wasn't able to do it, so we had to cancel the stream. And now he's back and he's angrier than ever. What's going on, sir?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me back. Yeah, I'm sorry about like over a month ago. It was my own fault, my own selfishness. I should have told myself, hey, don't get hurt because you gotta go and do this stream with Nerporeal talk about Star Trek. But I let my selfishness get ahead of me, and I got injured. So, but yeah, thanks for having me back, man.
All right. Well, thanks for being here. I think this is your first time on my channel, so welcome.
Glad to be here. This is a dream come true. I'm messing now.
So, all right. So before we even get started, I want to say hello to the chat. Obviously, we have Jacob Ironside is here, Korean Witch in Residence, and we got Dempsey. We got William Richards. William Richards, I did watch your video. I skipped once I heard the spoilers. I skipped it, but excellent video. You're killing it. You got a lot of subscribers. Congratulations. So Pips and Dane owe you owe gratitude, owe a debt to you right now. So, and someone named Angry Canadian. Oh, that's you. So, man, just let's. So how long have you been, content creator?
Well, actually, I started back in November, and I started back November of this last year, and the reason is because I was gonna go meet Gray from Wakizashi's Tea House and the Jinja Ninja, and they were going to Tokyo Comic Con, and I think about a couple months prior is when I decided, like, you know what, I think I want to give this a shot. So I started messing around with some graphic designing, and then I started messing around with some video editing, and then yeah, I published my first video, I think on the day that I left on the train to go meet them in Tokyo. So since November of this last year, I've been, I guess, content creating, and it's been fun.
So first time I noticed you I remember you were commenting on a bunch of my videos. I noticed you were commenting on my retrospectives. So once again, I appreciate you watching and getting something out of those. But so, like, what are your interests? Obviously, I know your big interest. You're a big Nintendo fan, obviously. And what else are you into?
Yeah, so when it came to my channel, and I guess I wanted my channel to reflect my interests, like the big three interests that I have. And so for me, and they're not in a specific order because they kind of change depending on the time of the year. But for me, it's Bionicle or Lego, but Bionicle specifically because that's what I grew up with. Nintendo was the second big thing that I grew up with, and then Halo. Anything that has to do with Halo is my three main interests. So that's what I wanted my channel to focus on, and I wanted to, like, I don't know, it's kind of weird to say it, but bring better, like, good content, like clean content into the world instead of like this rage baiting and all this, like, reviewing and critiquing stuff left and right. Like, I'm not afraid to do that, but like I don't want my channel to be focused on that. So yeah, so Bionicle, Nintendo, and Halo, and we could talk more about that if you want, but that's it for that.
I hear Paramount Plus has produced an excellent Halo series that everybody should watch. Almost as good as Amazon Prime's Wheel of Time.
I don't know what multiverse you hail from, but yeah, that's definitely not it.
Oh, sorry, I'm living in the Twilight Zone. All right, sorry, everybody. Yeah, I think I must have lost subscribers for that one. So, but yeah, so with today's with today's adaptations, it's been disappointment after disappointment. So, I usually listen to I usually listen to recommendations from content creators I trust. So, like, I've worked with, or everybody I've streamed with, I have trust in their takes of certain shows, and I'll watch them. So, like, I'm not a soccer guy, but I watched Ted Lasso, and even though the third season was a big step down, I really enjoyed the first season, and the second season was good, but there were some issues I had with the second season. But so yeah, you could get me to watch anything. So I'm curious, television wise, what you're into.
Well, it's hard for me to sit down and watch television unless it's something that hooks me instantly. So, um, honestly, I haven't been watching too much TV lately, but something that stuck out to me was Stargate SG-1. I started watching it a couple years ago. I finished it. I finished all 10 seasons of it, but it was just something I stumbled upon Hulu, and I was like, "Whoa, this is actually really good." And I like binged it quickly, not pretty quickly, but a show like that. I don't know why the show from that era, those type of shows, kind of they're easier for me to watch than anything that's newer or anything that's kind of old, like really old. So
Hmm.
I grew up watching a lot of cartoons and like the classic cartoons, and sometimes I'll revisit those and watch them depending on like how I'm feeling. But and then what's kind of nice about being this content creator space is getting recommendation from people like you or other people in this space because they will go through and watch it and let you know how they feel about it. And so I've watched. I never really cared about watching Cobra Kai until I saw people talking about it, and then I watched it. I was like, "Oh, this is actually really good." And then Gray a while ago, he there was this one show called I think it was 1899, or I don't remember what the name of the show was.
Oh yeah, 18. Yeah, 1899. Yeah,
Is it 1899? Yeah, I
I
watched
think
that and
so.
I was actually pretty intrigued by that. So that was pretty cool. So it just depends, like if I can actually watch it first of all, because sometimes it's on like a different streaming platform. I'll check it out. But yeah, if the first episode can hook me, then I'll be a fan and I'll stick through it and watch it.
Yeah. And isn't there another show that you started watching at well, at a certain person's recommendation?
Yeah, yeah, that would be this gentleman to my left just having me. I guess you could say he bullied me into watching Star Trek: The Original Series. And actually, I've been very impressed with it so far. I was kind of worried about how it would keep me entertained or engaged, but they did a really good job for a show that even like how many years ago has it been? 40 years? Has it been 40 years ish?
In about 3 years, it will be six decades, 60 years.
Oh, 60 years. My bad. Well, it's even older than that. So like keeping a show like that, that's like I could still watch it now. It's not like kind of dated or whatever. It's pretty impressive. So I've been enjoying it. It's really good.
So I think you watch episodes 2 through 11. So
Um, I seen. Yes, I think you're right.
so the so you did not watch the
Oh no,
first
hold on a
pilot.
second. My bad. I didn't see the Corbinite maneuver and on up. You haven't. I haven't seen those ones yet.
You haven't?
No, so it'd be the first nine. It's the first nine I've seen.
Oh,
Yeah, that might have thrown a wrench into whatever you're gonna show me.
oh, you haven't watched. You didn't watch this one with the silver eyes.
Yes, okay, this one I've seen. Yes, where no man has gone before. But like I said, the last one I watched was Dagger of the Mind.
Okay. So yeah, doesn't this creep you out right here?
Yeah, that man. Some of these episodes they get you thinking. They're like, what? How are they gonna get out of this situation? And then there's like all the stuff happening, and yeah, it's pretty creepy.
So here, basically, what happens here is they find this flight recorder from Starship probably 100 years ago, and it says they're trying to listen to it. It's the message or the documentation's fragmented, and they're basically it's asking for ESP ratings of all the crewmen, and the captain gives an order to destroy their own ship, and they're trying to piece out this mystery of what happened to that vessel. And this plays out where they go to the galactic barrier. So in this series, they can travel all the way to the edge of the galaxy. It's the galactic barrier. It's that red field made of negative energy. And when you go into there, you might get shocked. A person might get shocked. It's like being struck by lightning almost, except they don't die. But when they get shocked, they get the silver eyes.
Yeah.
Or at least in
Yep.
this case, he gets the silver eyes. Why? Because he has a high ESP. Did I say ESG? I meant to say ESP score, extrasensory perception. Excuse my tongue. right there. So I'm sure people with the other, I'm sure people with the higher ESG would probably turn into this too. Get all tyrannical and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So, but yeah. So as time goes on, he gets more and more powerful to the point where he starts seeing us as normal people as less.
Yes.
And then they're like, okay, we gotta kill him.
Yes.
That's literally what happens.
I'm trying to remember how they did it. It's been a minute.
So the first thing they want to do is this is the planet Delta Vega. This is a lithium mining station. It's pretty much deserted. It's self-automated, so starships can come and go if they need repairs or materials or something. So they're going to maroon him here. They're going to maroon him here. And well, let's just say they're going to maroon him. They keep him in the cage or in the brig here.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets away. He gets so powerful the brig cannot contain him. So he literally shoots lightning. He shoots lightning at them. And then of course this is where he unlocks it, and she also got zapped, but it took way longer for it to hit her. So now you get this iconic image, which was on the box of this right here. Like that right there. So this was on the box. I'm like, holy shit, what is, and I was 11. I think I was 11 or 12. I'm like, what is this? And then of course, Kirk goes after him with a giant phaser rifle that looks like a toy.
Yes.
And he encounters them, tries to get her to go shun her, not use her abilities, and he comes and they start a whole fight. He holds him. He's like, I'm a god now, pray to me. And then he uses his telekinesis to manipulate Kirk into a prostrating form and everything. And yeah, it gets pretty crazy. And then they're shooting lightning at each other. He gets depowered for a brief moment. There's a little window of attack, and then Kirk basically shoots a rock and crushes him. There you go.
Yes.
So he gets buried alive, basically, I think.
Yes.
But yeah, that's the episode.
Yeah, that was impressive, because I felt like this concept of like somebody becoming too powerful and they needed to get rid of him was used in another show, and I don't remember if I've seen that in SG1, because it felt a little familiar, but I don't remember exactly. It was intense.
I was curious if there was anything familiar about any of the stories that you watched. Was there anything you can remember? Any impressions?
Well, if we get to it, the story, what little girls are made of, with the whole androids and stuff, that reminded me of like the one SG1 episode where like they find themselves, like they get cloned and put into android bodies, and then they're like interacting with their like android versions, and it was pretty similar in that aspect. Like whoa, who is this other dude that's me? And then the question about like, well, is that person real? Like those questions, right? Like, is that a real person or not? And I don't know. I like this episode. Only one of the reasons, because this chick right here is probably the most beautiful out of all of them that I've seen so far. So,
yeah, they were keeping the ratings board was keeping an eye on this episode.
Yeah, but I think Kirk getting out of this was really impressive. Like, it's crazy how he always finds a way to get out of like whatever messed up situation he's in, and yeah, it was impressive.
Yeah, he gets so what happens here is, so he gets put on a carousel, and they make an android out of him to effectively replace him.
Yeah.
So right before this whole thing goes, he is saying, "Mind your own business, Mr. Spock. I am sick of your half-breed interference," which in 23rd century lingo is bigoted.
Yes.
So he says he keeps saying this, he keeps thinking it, so that when the android goes onto the ship and Spock is talking, this is actually the scene right here. Spock is asking what's going on. Why are we taking Dr. Corby and them back? And he's like, "Mind," and he repeats that same thing. He says, "Mind your own business, Mr. Spock." Blah blah blah. And Spock is like, "The fuck did you just say to me?"
Yeah, dude. That was brilliant. That was brilliant.
And then the android Kirk is like, you look upset. Is everything okay, Mr. Spock? And he's like, "No, everything's fine." But of course he wasn't. So, and then at the end of the episode, when everything happens, so yeah, Corby's not Corby,
Yes.
or he is, but he isn't. And that's why look at him right here. He's freaking robot. He's freaking android, and they all kill. All the androids just kill each other.
Yes.
they shoot each other, and that's how. And this was a kill fest. This episode. What can I say? I was surprised to see this when I rented this on VHS a long time ago. So, and this, I think right here, this is where Spock is like, please don't use the term half breed again. It's very distasteful. And he's like, yeah, I'll keep that. He's like, yes, Mr. Spock, you're right. I'll keep that in mind and everything. So
that was great. It was really good.
But yeah, this episode and Mantrap were the basis for a movie. Or, I mean, they copied from a movie called Forbidden Planet, and Forbidden Planet was a '50s movie about a crew of a starship. The starship looks like a UFO. Leslie Nielsen's the captain. Yes, that Leslie Nielsen from this movie, Naked Gun. He was captain. And they go to a planet. They find a man, a scientist, and his daughter there. They're there for eon. They were there for couple decades. And there's something on this. There's a mystery to this planet that is not understood, and people are dying as a result. And we find out what it is. It's actually pretty intelligent writing and how they approached it. It wasn't your typical monster movie. There was a little bit way more to it. It felt like you were watching a Star Trek episode, but at the same time, with the visual effects that they had for the '50s, it was like a Star Wars movie. And let's just say Star Wars borrowed some ideas of shots from that movie, especially for the Death Star and the blue hologram. The blue hologram was originally in Forbidden Planet.
Oh wow!
I may or may not have done a video on that, but that's a story for another day. So
I'll have to check that out.
And you said you watched Dagger of the Mind?
Yes. Excuse me. That was the one I just watched the other day, and yeah, what a crazy episode that was as well.
Yeah, me and Gray recently, I think the last episode we did on Star Trek was talking about this particular one. So yeah, so you have an inmate that escapes the penal colony, the plant-wide penal colony, and this is him right here. Let's see, it's Morgan Woodward's character. Let me see if I get yeah, that's the opening. I want to get that shot of him with that crazy eye. He has this crazy bug eye.
Yeah,
right here.
Yeah,
look at that.
Wild.
So he's chopped. Originally, he was supposed to kick a dude in the face, but he actually karate chops him. And then he tries to take over the ship, but Kirk and Spock, being as based and awesome as they are, managed to on what do you call it?
They neutralized him.
Neutralized. There you go. Speaking of neutralizing, well, and it's like there's something wrong. And McCoy's like, there's something wrong with this patient. This is not normal. This is nothing I've ever encountered. And he hears the testimony from the director of the penal colony. He's like, I don't believe him, and I have a serious doubt about what's going on here. And Kirk, you're going to have to go and investigate. So Kirk goes down to the penal colony and investigates, and this is the doctor that's in charge, Dr. Adams. And so here we find out that he has this room called the neural neutralizer, and they can basically manipulate anybody's brain. You put someone in a chair in the booth, say something, any thought, and that's what they'll think. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that was an interesting like concept there. I don't know why. I guess it's Next Generation. Next Generation is the scene with like there are four lights, right? Like it's
Yeah.
that's the famous scene that everyone kind of refers to.
Yeah, that's that was the episode where Picard gets captured by Cardassians and he's tortured. And
Is
he's
he tortured in
tortured.
the same way or is it different?
This is different. This is basically so like they didn't capture Kirk. He's not like a political prisoner
Right,
or
right.
anything. He's just this is basically your mad scientist trope. So Dr. Adams is basically your mad scientist down in the deepest reaches of hell, or in this case, the planet Tantalus 5. But he's basically a mad scientist. This is a like him, like Dr. Corby before, and What Are Little Girls Made Of. This plays off the mad scientist trope. And and throughout the episode, Kirk is a fanboy of him. He's a renowned doctor. He has reformed prisons to the point where they're more like resorts. I know a lot of people won't agree with that idea, but Star Trek was trying to be progressive. This episode was obviously commentary about the prison system and how shitty it is.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, so like here, he's being told by the guy in the booth, "You will forget all that you have heard. If you try to remember, no matter how hard you fight, there will be pain, and the pain will grow worse the more you fight to remember." So there you have it. So this is, you see him, he's freaking, he's like, oh shit, what am I doing? And of course, Van Gelder reveals everything. He cannot answer their questions. Every time he answers them, he's like,
Yeah, he's like freaking out and getting hurt. Yeah.
yeah, because of the command. It was probably because he sat in that booth and he got the same command as that guy. He's like, if you try to remember, you're going to feel pain. So there you have it. So in order for Spock to find out, this is where we first get the Vulcan mind meld in this episode. And let's just say that's a very iconic moment.
I was gonna say that I don't know if there's a common theme with Star Trek, at least or in the original series, but a lot of these episodes have to deal with like psychic or the mind and stuff like that. Whether it's like getting mind controlled or having like, your ESP levels were too high, so then like you started gaining greater conscience, or the one episode that we didn't talk about yet where there's like two clones of Kirk, the one that gets created by the transporter, what do you call that, the stuff they beam themselves up and down with. There was like
The
that
trans.
second. Yeah. And then like like a lot of these episodes, they go towards like I don't know, I guess the human mind, and just how it reacts or whatever. And it always has you at least for me, it always has me thinking like, well, what's going to happen and how they're going to get out of this situation, and like how does that apply in the real world, I guess. It's really interesting.
Yeah, it's this Star Trek's very allegorical. So they cover a lot of issues that were prevalent in that were prominent in the 60s. So there was an episode that dealt directly with bigotry, racism. Obviously, they kind of touched upon it in What Are Little Girls Made Of. Here, they're just talking about the duality of man. Like, one thing that I learned from this episode, The Enemy Within, is that we all have a positive side and we all have a dark side. And it's up to us as individuals to keep them both in check, when to use one over the other. And so, like, a lot of command and a lot of positions of strength come from the negative side.
Hmm.
But a lot of the wisdom and a lot of the compassion and understanding comes from the positive side.
That was really interesting to see that.
So you have
Just
two extremes right there. And it was this episode, sir, you're in the military. Thank you for your service. But they talk about the purpose of command, the chain of command here. And
yes.
something that New Trek likes to disregard. So the captain has to be nothing less than perfect, because if he's not, they lose faith. The team loses faith, and he loses command, and you become a bad leader.
That's another thing that's like really impressive about this show is that it feels so military as far as the formalities go, but at the same time it's very sci-fi-ish with, like, the exploring and these situations they find themselves in, and it just the way, like, that blows me away is the way that they talk to each other, like Kirk to Spock and to McCoy and all these other characters. Like, it's very tight knit, and they get stuff done, and they're not like arguing with each other like you've seen in like other shows. Like you said, you got to trust the chain of command. So if someone says to do something, you need to do it. Otherwise, if you're just gonna sit there and argue, you're wasting time, and something bad can happen.
Yeah, and one of the things that got me into the series as a kid, obviously, I love the cheesy sets. I love the music, the '60s over dramatic music, which sometimes the music was really good. You had some great tension, some great cue, great. Like the music made scenes even more tense than before.
I think it works well. It blends well, and I always feel locked into the episode. I've always felt like that. Just I don't it really, I don't know. They for something that's, like I said earlier, or you said earlier, 60 years old. Like, it still holds up really well. And has just really good writing and everything around it. I just remember the one. Oh, what's up?
I agree.
Oh, I was gonna say, do you remember the one episode that was actually making me laugh? Naked Time, when like everyone on the ship was just going crazy, and what's his face was running around shirtless, like trying to fight people.
Yeah, that's George Takei. George Takei. That was the role that was the role of his dreams right there. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Here we go. I got the. Let's share the screen, everybody. All right here. There he is. So he's pretending he's one of the three. He's pretending he's D'Artagnan from Three Musketeers. And what's funny is Spock actually says, "All right, let's get D'Artagnan off the bridge." So what happened was they go to this planet. Everybody they died. Everybody froze to death. Why? Because they all were afflicted with this disease that causes. So there's this virus that gets transmitted by water, and because of it, because of this water compound with alcoholic strains and everything, it's actually what happens is they get drunk. They're all basically drunk. They're all uninhibited, and so they're doing drunken things right now, and that's what this is, and it's affecting the ship during a critical point. Like, they're supposed to be documenting the dissolving of a planet, and so they have to be in a particular orbit in order to remain safe. And because of the deterioration, they have to keep changing orbits. In order to change orbits, you have to have power on. You have to have the engines on. Well, let's just say the navigator shuts the engines off, and he's in he locks himself in the engineering room, and he shuts the engines off. And you can't just turn the engines on, and especially in Star Trek world, and be able to go to warp right away. You got to have 30 minutes. So what do? They use an intermix formula for the warp drive that has never been tested, so they have no idea what will happen. And what ultimately happens is they go 72 hours back in time.
Yeah, that was impressive to see that.
And that's how the episode. And then McCoy finds the cure, and that's how the episode ends. And it gets nuts. Like, you see Kirk, you see what Kirk is truly feeling. You see Spock crying. Sulu's shirtless because Sulu is, oh my, I guess. And it was a ridiculous episode. Mantrap was a ridiculous episode too, but that was a slasher horror.
Mm. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And then Charlie X creeped me out. Charlie X really creeped me out.
Yeah. Charlie X is, well, imagine you had a kid or you had a teenager, worse than that, a teenager who's never been disciplined in his life and is given unlimited power to do whatever. What do you think will happen?
Yeah, bad stuff. Because he was like just making people like disappear. And I was like, oh my goodness, it's way too strong.
Yeah, he's making everybody go away.
Yep.
Let me see. Let me get this window. You say you didn't watch Corbomite though.
No. I haven't got to that one yet.
Okay, that was actually episode 3.
Yeah, this one. Yep. Charlie X. Yeah, he's like in love with the one woman.
Wait, let me see. So someone's laughing at him. He don't like it.
Yeah. Yep, gone.
Gone.
Just...
So that's what happens when you piss off a kid that's all powerful, or is he all powerful?
Yes.
The episode never really answered that question. Like they're like like Kirk wants to take a chance at landing a punch on the kid, and let's just say that let's just say they were lucky when help came by. The people that gave him the power in the first place came and they took him away. That's basically how the episode ends. Because they're like throughout this entire episode, they find out he has the power, and like the ship that dropped him off. Like you look at the captain and this first officer, they are terrified of him. Like
yes,
they're like Kirk is trying to talk to them, and Charlie keeps interrupting them, and they don't say anything until Kirk says, "You're interrupting. It's rude." And they don't say anything, but then they try to call and warn him, and Charlie destroys the ship.
Yes.
So he's already bad. He's already bad news at that point. And then the thing was they were supposed to transport him to a colony. They were supposed to transport him to an Earth colony, and because of his abilities, like we can't freaking take him to the Earth colony. We have to figure out what to do. And Charlie gets into this. He's like, he starts making people disappear. He makes a woman's face disappear.
He's just going unhinged.
Yeah, he's just like turning people. Let me see. Let me see if I can find that. It's so weird. Where is it? It's like, no laughing. Oh, never mind. I don't want to show it, but like you're literally like no face whatsoever. He turns a woman to a dog. It's ridiculous. So that's Charlie X in a nutshell. But I think we have time for talk about one more episode before moving on. So what do you think of Balance of Terror?
Balance of Terror. I need to. Oh no, I have not seen that one. I don't think you sent that one to me yet.
That's the one with the Romulans. That's the one with the
Earth
outposts are being attacked, and they go. There's a cat and mouse space battle here.
Yep, you're right. Sorry. Yeah, that was crazy. So they had to go to the outpost there, but this is the one that. Hold on, I'm trying to review this.
So this is the one where the Earth outpost gets attacked. So they have Earth outposts along this neutral zone.
Yeah, the neutral zone.
Between the Earth Federation, or sorry, not the Earth, just the Federation. I forget if they're called the Federation at this point in the series, because they've had different name changes or different names throughout it. But the Earth side and then the Romulan side. So let me get let me present this, share screen, window. Here we go. So yeah, so this is the obviously the Earth. This is obviously the neutral zone right here, and these are all the Earth colonies. And yeah, so they named a race after the founders of Rome, Romulus
Romulan.
and well, this says Romi or Romy, but Remus is the other planet basically. And here we meet the Romulans who have a very striking resemblance. Let me see if I can find it. Striking resemblance to another character.
I think I know which character you're talking about.
And let's just say one of the crewmen. There we go. That's him. That's the Romulan commander. And notice his ears are pointed and his eyebrows are kind of slanted up. Doesn't he remind you of a certain character?
Yeah, it's pretty it's pretty obvious. Yeah, it's Spock, because aren't isn't this group of people related to the Vulcans? Didn't they say that in the episode?
There is a possibility that the Romulans could be an offshoot of the Vulcan race.
Yeah.
Before they embraced logic. So the Romulans still have that infamous barbaric nature, like even more barbaric than humanity at our worst. So, yeah. And so here, Spock is like, and he agrees with Styles. Styles is the guy on the left who, gets a little bigoted because of the fact that the Romulans and Spock, look alike. So he thinks Spock could be a spy. But he's like, we got to attack. Why do I know? Because my family were servicemen during the original. There was a Romulan war, like a couple hundred years prior to it, in the 22nd century, and they never saw each other. The one thing that this episode makes abundantly clear is that the humans and Romulans have never seen the other. They never knew what the other looked like until now, at this point.
Yes, yeah.
So, but here, like the thing about this episode is, so this Romulan ship has tested the defenses of Earth, or of humanity. Now they're out of fuel. They have to go back home. The Enterprise has to destroy them before they get back home, or they'll be inviting a war. Hence, the rest of the episode is Kirk trying to hunt down the ship and destroy it.
Yep.
And so they try to use a comet to track them. Doesn't work. And there's a point where Kirk gets a little vulnerable, and he opens up to McCoy, and McCoy is basically telling him, "Hey, out of 100 billion stars in our galaxy and 100 billion worlds, don't destroy the one named Kirk." So, yeah, and then of course it was a great moment, and the way this episode ends, so that they managed to beat the Romulans. And they're like, we'll take you prisoner. There's no reason to die. And the Romulans like, it's not our way. We are creatures of duty. We are ready to die. And it's a shame that we meet in this way. You and I, in another reality, we could have been friends. And I don't know, something about that really, even as a kid watching this, really said something to me.
Yeah, it's two great like military leaders fighting it out, and then they're having respect for the way that they fought each other. And this guy realized that I don't know if he realized he was on the wrong side of things, but definitely realized that the guy he fought against was not some pushover. And yeah, it was really that type of theming is, I know it's used before. I wonder if it's originated here, but I know it's been used before in other medias. Two opposing sides duking it out, maybe not knowing who they are, or they do know who they are, but at the end, like, it's two respectable warriors trying to fight for their side.
Yeah. I think I'm sure the story was told in New Trek too. They tried to recreate this a what if situation, and let's just
Mm.
say it didn't work out the way it should have. So, um, but yes, I think that, I mean, we didn't cover every episode, but I figure, I figured this was good. So, like, overall thoughts, are you interested in continuing watching Star Trek, or
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in finishing it.
don't worry, we
It's
won't persecute you if you say no. I might cry
no,
myself to sleep tonight, but that's a me problem.
no. I mean, I've started it and I'm hooked into it that I can watch it like an episode a day or a week or maybe a couple a week, and like, yeah, it's entertaining. It's not it's easy to follow along, and there's still like mysteries, like you don't know where it's gonna take you, and or like how the ending will be. And I really like the characters. Like the characters are all really well written. I like the dynamic between Kirk and McCoy, and then Kirk and Spock, how they're different. And I like Spock a lot. I'm starting to understand now why people really like Spock, and especially Kirk. Just their overall character and who they are. It's just it's fantastic writing, fantastic character writing. So I hope. w- Um, now I would have to ask you this: like their character arc, is it pretty long because this is a TV show? Like, would you say that's a very long character arc for them? Um,
Um,
did they do it have any growth? Either of them?
uh, I mean, original series is very episodic.
Okay.
I mean, there are episodes that focus on Spock, especially new things that happen to Spock. Like there's a point where Spock becomes There's an episode where Spock becomes playful. But like the character arc really, I mean, it's kind of forms here. There's a lot of things that established in the original series that really carry forward and really pay off in the movies.
Oh, okay, okay.
Because I mean, the original series was canceled after 3 seasons, and the third season was a bit of a train wreck. Like there were a lot of crappy episodes. I mean, I could still watch them and enjoy them for what they are, but like I'm just be honest. The first season is my favorite season of Star Trek, of all Star Trek, and the original, especially the original series. Season 2 has some great episodes too, but it gets ridiculous at points, and then season 3 gets even more ridiculous.
All right.
So, but like I said, if you watch Star Trek Continues, that's a great like intermediary in between the original series and the movies. And Continues actually does a really good job of creating quality episodes that continue the character arcs of Kirk, especially Kirk and Spock.
Nice, nice.
So, and I
Yeah.
feel it beautifully transitions from the original series to the motion picture.
Oh, okay, cool.
Motion picture, I'll just say the motion picture will be an interesting watch for you. If you like 2001, you like the motion picture.
Yeah, like I told you earlier, I watched The Wrath of Khan, but like at that time I had no idea what I was watching. I just knew it was Star Trek and I didn't know who the characters were. And I'm gonna have to rewatch it, especially now after watching parts of the show. But I'm gonna probably follow your advice because you're the one that's like telling me what episodes to watch. I'll watch the series and then the continues and then the movie, right? Because that would be the appropriate order to watch them in.
Yeah,
Um,
and if you want to watch, if you're in the mood for some 70s Scooby Doo animation like stuff, there's the animated Star Trek that came out in the 70s.
oh, I'm always in the mood for some Scooby Doo animation.
Yeah, so they did an animated Star Trek. They featured majority of the cast of the original series. But a lot of the music seems very Scooby Doo-ish. The animation seems kind of cheaper than Scooby Doo, but I don't know. I just got a Scooby Doo vibe. Maybe it's because I don't know. It's the 70s animation vibe, Hanna-Barbera
Yes.
vibe. But that's another thing you could watch too if you're into it. I've only seen the animated series once, and it's for me it's rough.
Hmm.
I'm not as into 70. I'm not as into Hanna-Barbera as I was when I was a kid.
Okay.
or Hanna-Barbera like cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
So, but so Gadfly says, isn't enemy mind that general concept? Human alien fight each other in a war and both crash on the same planet, struggle to survive together, realizing the virtues of the other one. I guess. I mean, they didn't really use that in original series. They did use it in like Deep Space, in Voyager and Enterprise, and even TNG to the point. If you think if you consider Darmok to be an equivalent type of episode, even though they have to work together, but they didn't really hate each other. It's just that they couldn't understand each other. One alien talks in metaphor, like an asshole, and then you expect the other alien to understand them. How about you try to talk the way we talk if you really want to communicate with us? So it's still a great episode though. But first heard of the epic of Gilgamesh from the episode. So, but yeah, so that's Star Trek in a nutshell. So what else you want to talk about? Zelda?
Yeah, let's talk about some Zelda.
So so I started playing. I've barely touched the surface of Tears of the Kingdom. I beat a dungeon. I beat the Wind Temple, and I'm been just meandering, finding shrines or towers and going places. I actually found the depths. I went to the depths for the first time, and yeah, it's just like what should I be doing right now? It looks like they really improved it from Breath of the Wild. So Breath of the Wild felt very empty.
Yes,
I
I
mean,
would
it was
agree with that.
beautiful. The landscapes look very beautiful and look very very how would I say it, very accurate
Yes.
for maybe for wherever. But it seems like they really tried to flesh out the world more in Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, you're right. It's definitely like they said in some interviews, it's the same map, but they've done more with it, and they still wanted to keep the familiarity of the original map. And yeah, I've noticed that too. Like it's weird, like you're running around the same map, but it still feels like it's a different map. It's or a world, I should say, a new world. Um, yeah, and there's, in my opinion, there's like way more to do in this game than there is in the last game. Like way more exploration and way more like you get rewarded for that exploration. Um, and it's truly a superior game to Breath of the Wild, in my opinion. It's definitely I understand now, like Breath of the Wild, like they had to develop that game for the Wii U, so they were
Yeah,
limited on their hardware, like what they can do with that game. So I think everything that they did in this game, they probably wish they could have done on the original game, but they just didn't have the hardware to do it on. Um,
yeah, that
but
sounds about right. I like in my mind, like I played Zelda for years, so in my mind, I had a vision of what I thought the game was going to be. Now I've known this was going to be open world because I've been following. They were teasing this for like 3 years, um,
yes,
but I was thinking that they were still not going to like. I did not think they were going to completely reinvent the series. I honestly didn't think they were going to completely reinvent the series, and so I thought they were still going to have dungeons. I knew there was going to be different things, but I thought they were still going to have like dungeons. But even the dungeons were barely recognizable. They're very underwhelming, and it just felt very typical open world. I mean, very different open world. They Nintendo gave this open world a little bit of the Zelda touch with the controls and what you can do with the glider and everything,
yes,
and the way you can interact with the environment. I wish there was a little bit more that was would help you in the game and not just you screwing around. Because a lot of the reviews that I saw, they were all talking about, oh, you could do this, you can do that. I'm like, well, great, I don't care if you can do this if it fits, if it works for the game, like if it helps you get further in the game. Like burning bushes and everything is nice, but great. Riding your shield down a hill, great. I never did it. The glider does help though. The glider help, actually helped me get from place to place. So that was actually a very useful item.
And you're referring to Breath of the Wild, right? This is who the game you're talking about Breath of the Wild right now.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I've not read any Tears of the Kingdom reviews. I heard they were not as glowy as Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really read reviews to begin with, so I just know that I watch people like us play it, like who's reacting and how they're reacting to it. And um, I wanted to say about Breath of the Wild, like yeah, you said so shield surfing and using bushes and like catching the air drafts to fly up. Like yeah, there were some elements of the game that I didn't care to use, because you can just you can do how you can play however you want, um, and but yeah, I don't know. It was they tried to introduce a lot of like small little things here and there to make it more or make it different in Breath of the Wild. Sorry, we're talking about Breath of the Wild, but yeah, I can see your point. Like, oh, I didn't care to do that. I'm trying to think of a good example for me. I'm pretty sure there was one gimmick that I didn't even care to use at all, and I just can't even think right now. I think it was like the monster parts or like making elixirs, crafting elixirs. Like, I just never cared to do that because I would just craft regular food and just
Yeah.
get the buffs from the food.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Excuse me. Yeah. Sorry. I did the same thing, and it was just like it got to the point where I just got bored. I got bored, and I mean the shrines. Some of the shrines were pretty good. It felt like mini dungeons kind of, but they all looked the same, and they all ended the exact same way. You had the same exact end result. You get to a point, and then this person gives you a spirit orb, and I mean they continue that in this game in Tears of the Kingdom. What I can say about Tears of the Kingdom, though, that I do like is how they designed the shrines in this one. The shrines require in Tears of the Kingdom require critical thinking,
yes,
and and the critical thinking can go in any direction. So there's multiple solutions for a problem. So like some of the shrines, like especially when you have to transport an orb from one area to another, and all you have are rails. What you can do in this game is you can actually weld objects together, create like you have the ability to weld shit together.
yep,
And in this game you can you can attach things to a rail and use them to transport something. And the thing is, you need to understand physics. You need to understand degrees of freedom, because there was one shrine where have you been all the shrines, by the way?
no, I've completed like I think 100 of them, so I'm pretty sure I've done one that you've done.
Yeah, so this the one I'm talking about is one where you have the big orb and you have to rotate. You have to get the big orb to the across several chasms in order to
Yes,
beat the shrine. And then so there's three chasms. Two of them have two rails that you can just attach. You could just simply attach a platform to it and you could slide them down. But then there's one point where there's a single rail, and you can't just use a slide. You can't just slide it down.
yes, yes,
You can't just put a platform or a railing on, or you can't just put a flat piece on a single rail and expect it to slide down. It's going to rotate because of gravity, because of once again degrees of freedom. There's more degrees of freedom when you're dealing with a single rail as opposed to two rails where you can just have it flat.
yep,
So what you have to do is, and I actually had to look this up. You have to create like a hook. You have to make a hook out of all these plates, all these large plates. So Link has the ability to like move things telekinetically. I guess I don't know how
with
to
his
explain it.
hand,
Can you
yeah.
explain that with his
Um,
like pad or something?
It's
iPad?
it's with his hand. No, he's using his hand in this
Yeah.
game because the hand. I read an interview from the developer. Like the theming of this game is hands. So he has his hand, this fused hand that it's from a different character, and it's essentially he's like kind of using the force. He's moving things around and he's welding them together, like you said, to create any object that you want. Obviously there's certain limitations, like you can't add too many objects together, but yeah, you just weld them together and then you can. It's kind of annoying. One of the they had to keep it simple, but you can only weld stuff together in like 45 to 90-degree angles. um,
Yeah.
like there's a limit to it, but yeah, like you said, you have the freedom to create this hook out of like pieces of like flat pieces, and then you throw it onto the rail, and then you can slide it on down there. Um, which, by the way, I like this concept of using the hand. I really didn't like the stupid like iPad thing in the first game in Breath of the Wild. Like
Hmm.
you see Link walking around holding this iPad and like creating ice blocks out of it and like magnetically
Bombs.
controlling stuff and bombs. Like I this game, the technology, like it's not too crazy. I mean, yeah, you have the electrical stuff like with the batteries and everything else, but it makes more sense in this game. Like there's an ancient civilization that actually appears, and that's part of the story, and then that's what they have all this technology or whatever that they share or that you discover, I should say.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, dude, the shrines in this game are definitely a lot better than the last one, and I think sometimes I've completed some of the shrines in the not like normal way, like the developer's intended way. I'm pretty sure I've completed them in like a roundabout way, which is kind of funny because you have that freedom to do that.
I still have not. I died trying to fight one of these things right here.
Oh, they're annoying, dude. It's you have to take out the grunts and then it's hard to get on top of them. You have to use
Yes,
the swimming through the ceiling ability, which is like one of my favorite abilities to use.
I tried using that too, and it's really hard to get a lock because he keeps moving.
Yes, yeah, yeah. It's but which actually we should talk about that. The new abilities in this game is in my opinion far superior than the Breath of the Wild. You have the obviously the Ultra Hand that you use to fuse stuff together. You have swimming through the ceilings. Um, you have the recall, which is I like that better than the dumb like freeze time and then manipulate physics that was in Breath of the Wild because
Yeah,
I can never figure that out. Like you see those funny videos of people like hitting the rock like a certain angle and they like hit it with all this force and then they launch it. Like I was never able to figure that out. Whereas like the recall is like a really simple tool. You can recall like boulders that are thrown at you if like an enemy throws it at you. You can go back up to the top of the world with the recall ability. Um,
I used that actually. I actually used that. So you see all those blocks coming down from the sky? Yeah,
yes, yes. And then what's cool too is the recall. I didn't know they were going to do this, but you can use it in conjunction with like Ultra Hand. So while something is like, let's say, reversing time, you can still go and like manipulate other objects with it. Now, I don't know if you've seen the videos. People have found busted ways to kill those big monsters with a recall. They'll like fuse together like big objects, and then they'll use Ultra Hand and like let's say like spin it around in this like specific path, and then when the monster comes into that path, they'll use recall, and then the object just returns back around and starts spinning around in that original path, and just like knocking the enemy's health away.
huh.
That's how like I saw a video that the Talus with the fort on it. That's how
Yeah.
somebody defeated the Talus with the fort on it. I think it was. Um, yeah, it was kind of funny. It was like a really funny way of defeating.
I've seen ridiculous things. Like it's nuts what people can do with this game.
Yeah,
And time. A lot of people have too much time too.
yeah.
Like this game expect like in order to beat this game, you have to put in like hundreds and hundreds of hours. Like just the first part of the game took me 4 hours to complete the island,
The
the
main
Sky
island,
Island,
yes.
the main island, and yeah, I was just like, there's so much space here. I mean, just like, but
Dude, the
find it.
I was okay. So when I first played it, and I'm like, all right. So I knew there was a sky, and like you do the Great Sky Island, and then you go to the surface. You're like, okay, this is cool. And then, like a couple days later, I was like, what is this giant like chasm oozing out of the ground? And so I jumped into it, and you're like, and you go to the bottom of the map, and I was just blown away. I was like, are you kidding me? There's a third layer to this game, like a third
Yeah.
layer of
So there's
exploration.
yeah. So there's like there's the overworld, there's the underworld, and then there's the sky. So you have
Yes.
three. You have three times the open world of Breath of the Wild right here.
Yeah, and what's interesting is the depths is like the same size as the main world, the overworld. Um it's crazy like how much there is in this game to do to find. And um yeah, so it's been a blast playing through it. And I think I've already put 100 hours into it, which isn't like a whole lot compared to some other people probably. um and then yeah, so right here you paused on this frame. This is an enemy from Zelda 1, right? The Gleeok.
Yep, the Gleeok, the multi-headed dragon.
Yeah, I have yet to fight one yet. I've been trying to like get better weapons, stronger weapons, but I do want to fight one here soon.
Well, let's just say right now, in my case, I am way too weak. Like I haven't really discovered anything. I've only been a handful of, maybe not a handful, but I've gone. I have like 7 or 8 hearts, but I've all my armor is at like 3 or 4, so not very strong. Not very. A single hit from these guys will kill me instantaneously. But
Yeah.
yeah, the Gleeok. Yeah, we haven't seen the Gleeok since the original game. I don't think.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't. Other than was there a was it actually? It wasn't even called a Gleeok, but in Link to the Past there was a three-headed dragon, right? Or is it two-headed?
Link to the Past. No,
No,
no.
I thought there was one other Zelda game that had a three-headed dragon, but
Well, maybe Zelda. No, no, not even Zelda 2. Zelda 2 had a single-headed dragon. No, I think it was only the original Zelda. So level 4 he had a 2-headed dragon. Level 7 he had a 3-headed dragon as the mid boss, and then level 8 he had the 4-headed Gleeok. And what happens is when you hit the Gleeok in the head, you can't hurt the body. The body is impervious. When you beat the head turns red, starts floating around, starts shooting fireballs at you. So while you're fighting the other heads, you have to watch out for the floating head that's running around shooting fireballs at you along with the other heads. And you can't beat it. The only way to beat it is you have to beat the other heads quick enough to end it all.
oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
I'm curious if that same mechanic is in this game as well.
I don't know. I have not. I've watched Prophet of the Dragon fight a Gleeok, and it doesn't seem like they do that here. But I'm curious if they've brought back any of the other classic Zelda bosses from the original dungeons. Like there was the single-headed dragon, and then there was the 4-headed blue piranha plant looking one that shot fireballs from all directions. I forgot what that was called, and then you had the Goma. Everybody knows the Goma. The Goma came back in Ocarina.
Oh yeah, there's two different versions of Goma in this game actually.
Oh, is
Uh,
there?
yes, you will see them as you progress through.
The Goma was only in all you had to do for the Goma was hit it with an arrow. You had to hit it in the eye with the arrow, and that was it.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I also I like the fact that bomb flowers are an item in this game now. That's really cool. Like we have the classic bomb flowers back. That was really cool to see that. Um, I like how oh, actually I forgot another ability. I completely forgot about this ability, the fuse ability. You know, being able to fuse things.
yeah,
Um,
so you can actually take items and fuse them with either with your arrows or with your swords. So you can upgrade like if you get like a horn or a or a bokoblin horn or something, you can attach it to like a blade and give it more attack power.
yeah, they've added all of the enemies in the game now include like a horn, like on their head. And whenever you kill them, yeah, they drop that specific. Depends on the enemy, they'll drop that specific item, and you can add it to arrows, to any weapon, to any shield, and yeah, it increases like not the durability, but increases the power.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it might increase the durability slightly, but yeah.
Yeah, and of course, like you said, the bombs you take out your arrows, and then you can attach a bomb or a fire berry to create a fire effect to create a fire arrow effect. Um, it's interesting what you can attach and what will happen as a result. So they've really opened it up. they've really opened it up to many possibilities.
Yes, I think it's great that monster parts have like an actual use now instead of just like using them for elixirs. You can use them on the weapons. I like how they added the fire fruit, like you just mentioned. They added the splash fruit, which is like a water-based fruit.
Yeah.
Um, like they've added a couple new materials. They've added there's also items specifically to help you with the underground or the depths, like the bright bloom seeds um that like light up the area for you. Um that's where you get the puff shroom down there, which is what we saw in like the demo gameplay.
Hmm.
Um you also get this one item I haven't used yet. It's like some paralysis mushroom. I haven't used it yet. There's also like lightning bugs down there that you can use to make yourself glow. It's funny. You can concoct a potion and you can make yourself glow, and like instead of like having to use the bright bloom seed, you can just kind of have like a small area around you glowing while you're walking around. Because it's
Hmm.
dark. That's one thing that's really cool about it. It's like pitch black down there. You can't see where you're
Yeah.
going.
Yeah, and like in order to brighten up the area, you have to go to where Steve told me this. You have to go to where the shrines are, because underneath it, that's where you can light up everything.
Yeah, the light root trees. The light root trees. Um, yeah, that it's. I've been having so much fun just exploring the depths, and like there's tough enemies down there too. You have to be careful. Um,
Yeah,
it's really scary.
yeah, I'm surprised too. So, um, but yeah, this has been a very, it's been a very different game, but it makes me kind of want to explore more. I'm actually more interested in this world and just seeing how things go. I mean, I was actually really impressed with the what do you call it, with the Wind Temple. And I was
Yes.
watching Prophet of the Dragon in the Lightning Temple or the Desert Temple. I was like, holy crap, this looks like a traditional temple. What did I do to deserve this?
Yeah,
So,
actually, I agree with you. Out of all four of them, the Desert Lightning Temple is probably the most traditional feeling one. Um, it was actually, I think I completed that temple in a very unconventional way because I had a hard time trying to figure out how to get through it. And so I was just like using the random like items around and fusing things together to get like the light to bounce around. And it reminded me of like the Earth Temple in Wind Waker,
mhm.
and also the Spirit Temple in Ocarina of Time when you have to use the mirror shields to do stuff.
Yeah, it was like reflections. I was like, holy crap, I've seen this before. So
Yes.
yeah, so it got me kind of excited it got me kind of excited to play more of the game as a result. So, and of course we find out that well, Ganondorf comes back in this game,
Yes.
and I won't I haven't gone that far, so I'm assuming he wants the Triforce again.
Well, actually, what's really interesting is there has been no hints of the Triforce, and I don't know if that is like an end game item that's gonna. I don't know if it's something that gets created in the end, because everything's focused on these tiers. These tiers that you see Zelda holding in that one shot. You'll see some of the. Oh, actually, you've completed the Wind Temples. So Tulin, he got
Yeah.
the tier from his ancestor. Like everything's focused on these tiers, so I'm like, well, where's the Triforce? Like I haven't seen it yet, and I'm sure I wonder if it is an end game thing because everyone was kind of disappointed that it wasn't in Breath of the Wild, and I figured like, well, this game they have to put it in this game because you've got Zelda, Link, and Ganondorf, the three people that are, in the previous games have canonically held a piece of it. So I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure. Um, the tiers, those things are pretty interesting. So I'm curious to see what they're going to do with that.
Yeah. I thought they were like things that you had to acquire in a dungeon, and it seems like that's not quite the case.
No, you just once you complete the temple, like you get like their power up or their what do they call them? I can't remember the word they use in the game, but like you get like an assistant, like their clone of them, or will follow you around, and you get to use their ability. But maybe because this might be similar to Breath of the Wild, when you go to the final battle, then maybe those four will help you out, kind of like how the Divine Beast helped you out in the final battle. I don't know because I haven't gotten to that point yet, so I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, the sages, yeah, the sages, like they're whatever the blue versions of them are called. I can't remember right now. Which, by the way, they've talked about six sages, and there's four of them. We know the four, and then Zelda's like the fifth. So who is the sixth one? Because this is all like those sages are in the past, but now we're in the present. So I'm kind of curious to find out who the sixth sage will be in the present. Um, I don't know if. Oh, I want to talk to you about the music of the game. What do you think of the music so far?
I mean, it's very similar to Breath of the Wild. It's very minimal. I mean, minimal in a different way. Whereas, you had Ocarina, it was very atmospheric. You felt like you were in a, you felt like when you were under a tree, you felt like you were inside a tree. And when you were inside Jabu Jabu's belly, you felt like you were in the beast of a giant fish god. This game feels very Studio Ghibli. They obviously used um, the piano cue that they play, do 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 do. Sounds like something from like Castle in the Sky.
Hmm.
I don't know if you're how familiar you are with Studio Ghibli and Miyazaki, Hayao Miyazaki, but like a lot of ideas from those movies were used in Zelda and Nintendo and other video games in general. Like the Sky Temple in Twilight Princess is very much a homage to the castle in the eponymous castle in the sky.
Oh,
And
interesting.
like yeah, so this sounds very Joe Hisaishi to a degree. To a degree, doesn't have that or I mean, it doesn't. It you hear some piano, you hear some, and what I'm hearing, I'm liking. What I'm hearing is really good. I bitched about it when I was playing Breath of the Wild because Breath of the Wild was used to having a solid soundtrack, music playing, whether it be epic music or minimalist music. There was a lot of times where you're out in the field and there's no music. You just hear the wind, you just hear, nature.
Yes.
But then again, that's could be considered music as well.
Yep. Because they wanted to give you that open air feel, and
Yeah,
like just kind of wandering around. And um, I will say, I don't know if you noticed this when you were playing, because you've done the Wind Temple. Did you notice that like as you were progressing through the temple and unlocking like the locks, that the music was like building up? Did you notice that?
I think I did because I got more excited. I don't know what I was like. I didn't understand the feeling I had, but I was getting more and more pumped as I was getting closer to
Yeah,
completing. So maybe that's the reason.
yeah, it was really interesting to notice that like as you unlock each little key, the music just kind of builds in intensity. And then what's really cool too is when you go to the different parts of Hyrule that are like uh they call them regional phenomenons, like they're kind of like there's like bad stuff that happen in those areas. I don't know if you noticed, but the music's different too. So for example, when you go to Gerudo City, the music in Gerudo City sounds completely different than like it did in Breath of the Wild when it's still kind of like suffering from its regional phenomenon. But then when you complete that area, the music goes back to the original music that you heard in Breath of the Wild. And
Oh,
so it's kind of cool. Like you feel it in the atmosphere that like yeah, this area is kind of like there's a bad thing that happened in this area, and the music reflects it really well. It's kind of cool. Um, and I'm trying to think if there's Lookout Landing, like that's kind of a new
yeah.
track. That's kind of a nice track. And also, by the way, the part that I'm at now, the music in that area changed because I've completed all four regional phenomenons. So like there was a cutscene that happened in that area. So now the music in Lookout Landing is different than what you're probably hearing now. So it's kind of interesting how the music is evolving as well as the world around you.
I can't wait to check that out. I haven't been to Gerudo. I always say Gerudo, but I haven't been to the
Gerudo.
Gerudo area yet in this game. I haven't been. I just got to the Zora area the last time I played. So
Oh
um,
yes,
I like to climb and cheat and glide. That's what I do. I don't like to take
yes.
paths and everything. So
Same, same.
um, but yeah. So Tears of the Kingdom. I'm gonna keep playing. Um, Probably not just that. There's other games I want to play too. I don't want to spend too much time with Tears of the Kingdom. So, but okay, that's good to hear that you like it. I mean, it's growing on me, which is a miracle. So
We're
um,
doing something right.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, Prophet's been playing it quite a bit, so I've been watching him play it to motivate myself to play it.
Hmm.
So, but okay, but yeah, so that's cool. So is anything else you want to talk about, or
Yeah.
anything like you watch? Are you watching anything? What are you up to?
Well, so because of like my accident, like I missed out on the Mario movie premiere in Japan, so I had to wait like an extra couple weeks to watch it. And then Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, I missed out a couple days when it first came out. Um, and then recently, I've been reading through the Zelda mangas, and I finally got my hands on the final two copies of the final two books of the Twilight Princess series. So that's been pretty fun. I'm rereading the whole series, but yeah, man, the Mario movie was something else. I was really glad to be able to finally watch it. I watched it in English because that was the version that I wanted to watch it in, and I thoroughly loved that movie. It was a really well done movie, and yeah, I know you liked it because if you're probably a bigger Mario fan than me, so um, it definitely hit home. That was a great movie.
Yeah, there were points where it got emotional for me. Like it was like especially hearing the plumber's rap theme really got to me, and of course, um, I forget like just seeing like the 2D stuff. I love the 2D segments that they did where they're running around, like especially in Brooklyn. They're running
Yes,
around in Brooklyn and trying to get. I forgot what they were trying to do, but they showed it in a 2D way. I thought that was awesome, and I loved how they did it again with Mario teaming up with Donkey Kong at the end, and it looked like a Mario 3D World esque level or
yes,
area, and then he gets the raccoon suit, and then they're playing the Mario 3 athletic theme.
yes.
I was like, okay. I'm like, this movie already. This, I mean, once I heard that, this movie was already better than Sonic.
Yes, yes.
And I thought the Luma, the caged up Luma was hilarious. It's like we're all gonna die. we're that the void is a beautiful thing. It's just so it was just and then seeing the Luma at the end playing the saxophone, playing the Mario theme. They're playing the Mario theme and everything just brought. I mean, I know people like to say people like articles like to say, oh, this brought. I read the script and this brought tears. Well, hearing that brought literal tears. Like I was trying
Yes.
to, yeah,
Yeah, it was a emotional movie in the sense that I don't think nostalgia is a good word, but just like the memories you have playing those games as a kid and
yeah.
growing up with them and like every little aspect of them, the music, the sound effects, the characters, the world, like you finally get to see it in like a really good format in this movie format, and they just knocked it out of the park. I mean, it you know why they did, because it was executive produced by Shigeru Miyamoto, so he had his hands in this. Like this is his
Yes.
baby. Like he's not going to let it get tampered with.
Yeah, but I loved how like I just love how they 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 were respectful to what came before. They were respectful to the Super Mario Super Show, and with the van to a degree, the movie, the live action movie, which
Oh, I'm not familiar with the live action movie. I yeah.
well, let's just say I visited Prophet of the Dragon. I showed it to his kids. His one son said, "This movie sucks." And I was like, "You're absolutely right. This movie does suck," because they had no idea what they were doing. and
Yes.
it got to a point where it got really dirty. Like
Mm.
this is supposed to be for kids. Mario's supposed to be for kids. What is all this?
Yeah.
And I saw, and my dad took me to see it. I was 8 years old when I saw it when it came out in the theater, and I came back and I was just like, "What was this?"
Yep.
I didn't hate it, but I was just like, "What was this?" But I watched it sporadically throughout the years, and I was an adult, and I like, "Wow, this movie's shit." But I watch it for nostalgia reasons only.
um, Parts of this movie, like seeing like Donkey Kong, the Kong Kingdom, which is a kind of like an original idea, right? Because there really isn't like a Kong Kingdom in the Mario universe. Um, there's only like a handful of Kong, or not even a handful. There's quite a bit of Kongs, but not like random guys here and there. So like they had a lot of create freedom to do whatever they wanted with that. And it was kind of cool to see that. And um, they're driving around on Mario Karts, I guess, or go karts, and
I thought that was great. I actually I like they're like build your cart, you know.
yeah,
And
yeah,
they show they play and well, Rainbow Road, dude, Rainbow Road. They played the Super Nintendo Rainbow Road thing.
yes, yes.
I was expecting the N64 one, not the Super Nintendo one. The N64 one is the more popular one, I think.
I prefer the Super Nintendo one only because they did a really good remix of it in Mario Kart 8. There's a really good
Yeah,
remix of it, and I really enjoy that one over the 64.
I love the Super Nintendo one, but the N64 theme is way better.
um, I let's see. Also, another funny part was the over dramatic Toad in the castle, like with the deep voice. He's got like that narrator voice, and he was like explaining the situation to the Toads, like the Bowser and his minions are almost here, and he's got like this really deep like like over dramatic voice. That was hilarious compared to all the other
Oh,
Toads.
oh no, the one that made me laugh the most was when they try to get into the castle and the toads decide, let's fuck with them. Let's fuck with them.
Yes,
Our princess, excuse me, our princess is another castle.
yeah, that was
I laughed when I
fantastic.
heard that. Anybody who's played Mario should know that joke right there. So I liked how I liked that the movie was made. The movie was made for me and
Yes.
made for everybody. Because nowadays the trend is, oh, this movie wasn't made for you. You're making it a franchise that people like, and you're saying that the movie's not made for them. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, this was made for Mario fans, both young and old, and like soft or hardcore. And yeah, my only complaint, and I've told you before, is the pop music in it was just like not a good taste. It
No,
was just unnecessary. I would love to see a fan edit of somebody removing that and putting in like Mario music with a poppy feel to it. But yeah, I probably do that fan edit if I had the ability to do it. Um, but I don't know, like the world made sense. That's what was really impressive. Was like you had these dudes in Brooklyn, which is a callback to the first Mario game, right? The one where the sewers, the one with Super Mario Bros. Uh, um, the one
Mario
where
Bros.
or Mario Bros. Sorry, yeah, Mario Bros. The one where like you have to jump on the enemies and you get points, and they're in the sewers. Like that was kind of a callback to that in a sense. Like they started out in like the real world, and then eventually they found themselves in the Mushroom Kingdom. Like something like it's not really explained in the games per se, but like Super Mario Bros is like the first game that they're in the Mushroom Kingdom, and they're
Yeah,
just so that's kind of cool to see that. My one funny thing about it too is like Mario and Luigi are trying to live the American dream by like starting their own business. And so that was really cool to see that like these guys
yeah,
are trying to start it out.
just like the movie, the Brothers Plumbing. They have their own little business going on. That's what I thought was that's I thought that was great, and I love meeting the family. And
Yes.
the dad was Charles Martinet.
Yes, yes. Yeah, that was really cool to see the family and how they're like interacting with each other.
and the whole thing of like the whole mock Italian that Charles Martinet is known for, I loved how they explained it in the movie. It was all for their promotion.
Yes, yes. That
And
was great.
I mean, I was initially skeptical about the voice acting, and the voice acting for this movie, despite the fact that it didn't have to be celebrities, but you know what? They all knocked it out of the park. Even a certain guy named Seth.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. Um, yeah, there's like so much like we would once you get your hands on the DVD or something like we should really sit down and break it down scene by scene because there's just so much we can dissect
Yeah, there's a
and
lot. I
call
mean,
back to.
there's a lot of Easter eggs, like you know the pizza place is Punch Out Pizza, you know,
Yeah.
and I forget like there was another character that Charles Martinet played. He was like
It was
another.
Jumpman. It looked like a Jumpman
It
type
looked like I
character.
think it was Jumpman. You might be right.
Yeah, on the machine he was playing was like a Jumpman type clone machine in
Yeah.
that bar, or I mean the pizza parlor place, and um, yeah, uh, I was gonna say about. Oh, then did you see the part when they escape from the eel? They do the rocket barrel riding, which is like a callback to Donkey Kong
Donkey Kong
Country.
Country
Yeah,
returns.
returns. Yeah, that was really cool
Dun
to see
dun
that.
dun 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 dun. Do 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 do. Yeah, I want to play those games again. I think
Yeah,
they did too many barrel riding up levels though in Tropical Freeze.
yeah, they did. That was annoying. Yeah, Megaloid is saying that like he watched it in Japanese. I didn't want to watch it in Japanese because like until after I seen it in English. But now I don't really have a desire to go to the movie theater to watch it. But I do. I heard the Japanese voice actors are pretty good, and also some of the cultural contexts are different. They Nintendo actually did the subtitling or the scripting in Japanese for the Japanese audio or audience, I should say.
Okay.
So I guess it's slightly different. I don't know exactly how different it is. I would have to go with my wife and we'd have to watch it together and see. But even the subtitles, like when I watched it in English with the Japanese subtitles, it was different. She told me that while we were watching. It was kind of funny. Um, but yeah, it was a blast, man. And yeah, we should definitely do a stream breaking it down. It would be amazing to sit down and break down that movie.
Oh,
Um,
I agree. Like there's so much in there that I'm sure I haven't even noticed yet.
yes.
Like it's ridiculous. Like that movie has so much rewatching value that it's that like I would definitely pick. I'll have to pick up the physical copy pretty soon myself.
Yes.
I just keep forgetting to do that. So all right, but yeah, it's been an hour and a half. That's about as long as I wanted to do it. So is there anything else you wanted to talk about? Like how's Halo? Is Halo is the Halo franchise in a good state for
Um,
you?
based off of like people online, they're not too happy with the direction the game is right now, at least the multiplayer aspect, and with Halo Infinite. I'm there's nothing new to say about the TV show that's coming out because they haven't really announced anything. It's done filming, so they just have to do production for it or post production. But people are just kind of I don't know. Halo's once again in a slump, and it's because of the people that currently maintain the IP. They're really they don't know what they're doing. They have the keys to this kingdom, and they don't know what they're doing with it. So
It
um,
seems like 343 just doesn't do the Halo series justice the way Bungie, with the stuff that Bungie created. It's just it's ridiculous how like you bring other people in to resume a franchise or resume a project that was established by another, entity, and they do a shitty job.
yeah, they wanted to spread it out too thin. Like they wanted to get into all these different aspects of it, whether it's comics or shows or animation and all this other stuff, instead of focusing on just making games and doing the story in the games. Even books. They went a little overboard on the books. So and this is all to blame with the previous what was their title? Whoever was the head of 343, she was the one steering the ship and she steered it into too many icebergs, like way too many icebergs, and finally she had to quote unquote, step down from that position. So we'll have to see where it goes the next like couple years. But I'm still hopeful. Like I'm they luckily they haven't done anything that's pissed off the fans when it comes to like identity politics and stuff like that, and jumping into that realm. So it hasn't gotten that treatment yet, but that's not to say it will, or it won't. I should say it won't. But
Hmm.
yeah, it's just in a weird slump right now.
Yeah, I haven't really done anything with Halo since I think I played Halo Reach.
Then you're in a good spot because like you could pretty much like end it right there and you're fine. Like you're not really missing out on a whole lot per se if you're
Like,
not a hardcore fan.
I played Halo 1 Combat Evolved back in the day with friends. We used to have LAN parties, connect Xboxes and
Yes,
just play against each other, capture the flag, Sidewinder.
yes,
Um,
yes.
yeah, 16 players. Yeah, four different TVs. It was an experience. But I loved Halo 2's story. Like I loved playing Halo 2. I remember playing I remember watching the demo on
Yes.
online, and I remember getting the game in 2004, and it was just I think I was still a teenager when that came out. And it was such a I love the story, and I love the Arbiter. You replace the Arbiter, and then they really expanded the Covenant. They added these the
The
leaders. I
brutes.
forgot what they call
Oh,
them.
the prophets are the leaders.
Prophets.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it ended in such an insane way. And it was a 3-year gap, and then Halo 3 came out, and I heard Halo 3 wasn't nearly as good.
Well, the story was on point, but I think the multiplayer wasn't like as up to par as Halo 2 because Halo 2's multiplayer was pretty perfect. The balancing of it was really well. It was
I
perfect.
didn't get the same cinematic feel that I got from Halo 2 that if in Halo 3.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I would say musically speaking, Halo 3 has some fantastic music, and so it really I don't know. I didn't play it at the time it released. I had to play these games many years later. So but that's cool. That I've never heard. Yeah, that's cool that you really had a deep appreciation for Halo 2 story at least. Um
Oh yeah, yeah. Halo 2 was just like mwah, you know.
I want to as far as future plans for my channel, I really want to sit down and talk Halo, but it's hard to talk by myself, and I like to talk with people that are somewhat competent with the franchise. Because I like to talk about the newer games that a lot of people are not a big fan of, and just especially like Halo Infinite. It had such a big hype for it, and then it didn't really deliver when it came to the multiplayer, and it came out. It released with a lot of bugs and a lot of issues. I thought the story for the game was really well done compared to the previous Halo game. Halo 5 story was like terrible, and I don't know. It's just kind of like I said, it's in a slump right now.
And
So
the last game, Halo, it's not Halo 6, it's
Halo
Halo,
Infinite. Halo Infinite's the last
but
game.
that's pretty much supposed to be Halo 6, right? Halo
Yeah,
Infinite.
essentially it's number 6 in the series, yes. In the main
And
Master
that
Chief
that
series.
one took a very long time to make.
Yeah, so COVID kind of blessed them in a way because it gave them an extra year to develop it. But even with that extra year, they were way too ambitious with what they wanted to make that when the game came out, it was still kind of broken. Um, they did something smart and they released the multiplayer for free before the game came out, so they were able to kind of patch up the multiplayer. But as far as the campaign went, they weren't able to release the campaign with co-op, which a lot of people were really mad about because they promised that Halo 6 or Halo Infinite would release with co-op because Halo 5 didn't have split screen co-op, it only had online co-op. And people were like, co-op is part of Halo, like you can't take that away. So um but Halo Infinite, it made a comeback a little bit and when it first came out, but then it just kind of the multiplayer went in a weird direction as far as development, and it's just been in this weird state ever since. The campaign's great. I like the campaign. I thought it was really good.
Okay. And then now, does this conclude this second trilogy, because I know there was the first trilogy, and then I think there was this, what are they called, this new trilogy is the Forerunner trilogy or something, starting with
Yeah,
four.
I've heard so many different things. They wanted to make it like the Forerunner saga and make it like 6 games. I don't know if they're gonna do that, but I guess you can say it kind of concludes it in a way because actually I don't know. That's a good point because the way that Halo 4 and Halo 5 are very closely related, but then Halo 5 and Halo 6 are like loosely related. So I don't know if you would consider them a trilogy, but they're setting it up to the way they ended Halo Infinite. They're setting it up to where they could do a whole another set of games, another trilogy of games, because they introduced like a new enemy, like a brand new enemy, a brand new ancient enemy. So they have that.
Another ancient enemy. Okay.
Yeah, I know it's kind of like a cop out in my opinion, but I hate the flood. I in the gameplay, I hate the flood. In the story, they're fine, but in the gameplay, especially like Combat Evolved, the library is
Oh,
like
I
one of
remember the library. Oh, I remember that
it's
level.
one of my least favorite levels in the entire franchise, and so especially on
So,
Legendary,
are there still Flood in the later games, or are they all gone after Halo 3?
they're done. In Halo 3, they're gone. Um, I don't know if they'll ever come back to them. I don't think so. There there was a hint of them in Halo Wars. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It was a real time strategy game made by a complete.
That's probably the only real time strategy game I played. I played it with a coworker of mine years ago. So,
Yeah, so they released Halo Wars 2 like several years ago, and there was a DLC to that game that included the Flood, and that was like the latest Flood related Halo whatever in like a long time since Halo 3. But ever since then, they've never talked about the flood or hinted toward it. And so I think they've, with the introduction of this new enemy, I think they've just completely abandoned the flood and it's been defeated. So they're moving on to like a brand new ancient evil.
oh, okay. Well, we'll have to see. One of these days I want to get back to playing just the original Halo games, and when I play Halo, I want to play Combat Evolved again. Just for nostalgia's sake.
What is your computer like pretty decent rig? Is it a pretty decent rig or?
I mean, my laptop's a couple of years old. I have the Xbox because it's Windows. I could download Halo or something.
Okay, because you can get it on Steam and the Master Chief Collection. And the Master, by the way, the only good part or one of the redeeming qualities of 343 Industries is that the Master Chief Collection now, even though when it originally released it was trash, now it's a solid game. It's a solid, library of Bungie's Halo games, and to include Halo 4, that all work really well together. The multiplayer works really well across all the games, and there's enough like content to like grind out to unlock armor and all this other stuff. Anyways, I think you could check your requirements on Steam, but you might be able to run it, and then you could play the original Combat Evolve on there. So
Oh, I'll definitely keep that in mind. So, all right. Well, I think it's time. So, anything you want to promote?
I do have a stream I'm doing with Abomination AJ on Friday night, and it was just kind of like spur of the moment. He wants to talk to me about Nintendo, like the current state of Nintendo. So it's just something we've been wanting to talk about, or like we want to talk in general because we haven't had a stream that we talked on. So that's gonna be Friday night. I think it's 8 p.m. Central Time. I still have to prepare a couple things for it, so just be on the lookout. I haven't officially come back to YouTube yet. I'm still trying to nurse my injury, so hopefully in July I'll be able to start streaming games again. Because I'm kind of going through like a theming, content creating theming right now.
Yeah.
Video game or gaming on the beach is like the hashtag that I'm doing. So you might see some Super Mario Sunshine in the future. So be on the lookout for that.
Nice, nice. Can't wait.
But I appreciate you having me on, man. I really do. It's been a blast.
All right. Well, Angry Canadian, thanks for joining this little chill chat. So everybody, subscribe to Angry Canadian. He is a great content creator. I'm a big fan. And yeah, his link is in the title and the description. So definitely check him out. And for me, well, stream wise, I don't think I'm doing much. I might be doing this. I might be playing Super Mario World on Friday with Prophet of the Dragon's son. So stay tuned for that. And I'm going to be doing another Mega Man stream with his other son next week on Monday, likely. So just be on the lookout for that. And yeah, everybody definitely. I know Prophet of the Dragon's going to be having a stream later, talking about Wheel of Time series, and yeah, and it's gonna be fun. So definitely go tune into him later tonight. So, but everybody, thanks for being here. Take care. Stay Nerporeal. May the wings of Nerporeals carry you to the next major stream. Peace.